Welcome back, everyone, to the Paladins World Championship Qualifiers Day 2. We just saw All Business take a 3-0 and eliminate Cyclone GG. Now we are going to be looking at our potentially, well, not potentially, absolutely our second elimination team, and it's going to be between Hype Unit and Fatal Ambition. Now, this is the minor league Hype Unit. You have to keep that in mind. If they win, we'll get a Hype overload. They were just talking about that on the desk going into the next set because they will face the console team. But Fatal Ambition aren't done and dusted just yet. They still have this one chance to kind of keep themselves alive, keep themselves afloat. And, well, who better to help me take through some of the minor league players than Bees himself sitting next to me. We just moved from the booth up here. And as far as people are concerned, I mean, this is going to be a pretty interesting set.
Oh yeah, for sure. We've just already seen now a PML versus console. We get to go straight back into it for another PML versus console, and I'm kind of hoping we get to see a little bit more of gusto coming from console now. Like the first set we seen with the SSG when console really showed up, and I thought that we might have some interesting games coming up. But unfortunately, it hasn't really swung that way for the rest of the games. I still have my fingers crossed for a little bit of, you know, console ambition to come out and show us something interesting.
Well, it was an interesting day yesterday. If you want to look at both of these teams, they both lost their sets. That's why they're down here in the bottom bracket. But Hype Unit were in an unfortunate scenario where the first team they had to face was Kanga, 7th seed in the PPL. And even when you want to make that cut, Renegades, I would argue, maybe closer to the minor league teams. Kanga, there's still a pretty big gap between them.
Yeah.
And so coming forward with this, they had not a bad day. I mean, you know, if you look at Edgem, a 2.4 KDA yesterday, but all losses. What do you think they needed to change from yesterday, maybe coming into this? Fatal Ambition definitely not being the same team as Kanga. Is it going to be maybe a little easier for them to kind of get back on track?
I would say definitely easier for them. Kanga is one of the teams that have a very varied play style compared to a lot of the other PPL teams. Kanga try a lot of things that other teams don't try, and they make it work in senses that other teams don't as well. So I think it's difficult for a PML team to come in and maybe not have faced Kanga as often as the PPL teams that have figured out the Kanga strats and coming into it to like try and figure out on the game day. That's going to be very difficult for them. But coming up against the console, I think as long as they play a strong PC meta now and push in with that sense, I think they're going to have the edge coming through with it.
That's going to be interesting. We saw Edgem pull out some things that you don't typically expect. I mean, Lex, I think me and you were watching that set in the green room, and we were just sitting there and like, well, yeah, Lex works on Jag Falls. There were a couple of moments where he had triple kills like that, and a couple of moments where he was missing a few shots. Whether you want to discuss it, maybe some land nerves coming into it, nerves being with these players for the first time this phase. I mean, they come through. But you get Dethroner and Pan, who played the first half of this year here with the Knights. So maybe being kind of like these solid rocks for the rest of the team to lean on. Do you think that's going to be beneficial to them going through this bracket?
Oh, most certainly. If you come into a team, into a tournament with people that have already been comfortable in the tournament setting, that's definitely something that's going to like make you feel at ease. You know, you can definitely feel in the booth when there's a lot of tension. And if you're two biggest people that you have known in your team, if they feel relaxed, then they can kind of emanate that to the rest of the team and hopefully make everyone else feel a little bit more relaxed as well.
We'll have to see if they're going to be able to do that one. They're going up against Fatal Ambition. And this was a console team that was knocked out pretty haphazardly. It was a 1-win, 3-loss set for them up against, I believe, Flashpoint. And a lot of renowned players when it comes down to console here, a lot that have made land very consistently with it. But this is the note that kind of stands out to me. Even though it was an 0-3, the lowest KDA for Hype Unit was a 1.1 after yesterday. 1-3 for Fatal Ambition here. Their highest was a 1.5. So they are just barely kind of squeaking by. That's the support. You look at the DPSs, they didn't quite have it. Ralkion, who's on your screen, one of the players who did not quite have the game he had wanted, but is one of the players on console who is willing to pull out the Eevee, so we might see that ban disappear.
Yeah, I believe he's one of the only players in the console league as well that he plays with gyro, which is why it makes his Eevee look a little bit more fluid than you can see from the other players. And honestly, I'm hoping to see a lot more come from him. And maybe, as we've spoke about throughout the day, the Eevee and the Maze ban kind of hindering the console players. Maybe for the fact that they do have this gyro player, they don't need to ban it out because they can take it for themselves. And maybe also the Hype won't be expecting them to take it. So it's kind of like almost a free ban.
Yeah.
Because they can grab it for themselves in that sense.
It's an interesting dynamic as well because when you look at it, like Hype Unit, Pan does play Eevee, but I feel like it's not his go-to. Like there's certain players, Freeze God comes to my mind, where it's just, if you can get him Eevee, you're getting him Eevee. It doesn't matter what map you're on. It doesn't matter how he's feeling. Like, he's probably just going to play it. But you not only don't have to ban it against Pan, but you're still, like you said, likely to get it. Yeah. And so it's this pick that you know you can play, you know that they can play, but they're not likely to go to. Are there any maps that, with that info, that you're like, this is where we need to go, or this is what we need to do?
With Eevee, probably not. Eevee is one of those champions that you can kind of take on any kind of map. Obviously, there are some maps that make her way more
viable,
precisely. Yeah, like Timbermill and such maps like that, which is what they actually used on the other day. So hopefully they maybe try and go for something along those lines. I probably wouldn't be shocked if we see some Ice Mines or something like that. Yeah. Just not for the Eevee, but then just in the certain sense of, like, we know that Ice Mines can be very unpredictable for any team. So if you're trying to come out and you're trying to get a win straight off the bat, just to try and make yourself feel a little bit more comfortable, that's probably something that I might look to do myself.
That'll be interesting to see. They had a interesting phase as far as this goes. Normally, and most of the regions for console, it's like one dominant team and then everybody else is just kind of there as a punching bag for them, essentially. That's what the Hype Unit console team went through. This Fatal Ambition team were kind of challenged. They had, I think, not only some roster changes, I think, at the beginning, but they just had some struggles through it with other teams kind of giving them some trouble, pushing them to the limit, and making sure that things go down. For Hype Unit here, the minor league, the only game they lost is one they didn't show up for on one week. So it'll be interesting to see how they adapt to it. Jag Falls, Frog Isle going to get banned out. I have not seen any Frog Isle so far this entire tournament with Bright Marsh, Serpent Beach there. Timbermill still open, but I'm still sad about Frog Isle. That's where my mind's at.
That's another good Eevee map as well.
Yeah.
Could easily take an Eevee on Frog Isle.
It's a fun map. I don't understand it. I know for some teams like Flashpoint, I will give it to them because they've been banning Frog Isle for essentially 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
It's just seeing everybody else finally jump on that, I guess, same list is going to be interesting. But hey, you had called for Timbermill and Ice Mines. The first one we're at least getting is Ice Mines. And this is going to be Hype Unit's pick, I believe, coming into this. So going to be interesting how they adapt to it. This is one of those maps in the PPL that it quickly changed from that, oh, we're looking for a 3-3. This is going to be a 20-minute game. We're going to wait it out for that final point fight. Team's 4-0 on this now. They've figured it out. Hype Unit are probably in that little bit of an area that can absolutely do this.
Very true. And obviously, they're going to be playing lots. They're in NA. They're going to be playing probably a lot of scrims versus PPL teams. Yeah. So they could very well have some good strategies for this as well. It could also be the opposite of what I was trying to say, where Fatal might have taken it to try and give themselves maybe that mental edge to win a map. Maybe Hype is just saying, do you know what, let's take that away from them and let's dominate on this map already and just kind of crush them, the spirits, as soon as possible and make the remainder of the set a little bit easier for themselves.
I think it's fun. You get Victor, Vivian banned out. Victor, though, is actually pretty good on this map. Like, that's not a ban where you're like, oh, it's because they're playing console. It's a little bit of both.
No, that's definitely a good ban.
But Hype Unit, in this case, play the other Hype Unit pretty often as well. So if you're looking for a team that is coming into this tournament with both PC experience and playing against console experience, these are the guys to be able to do so. They grab the Willow. Makoa Strix being hovered here. How do you feel about Strix on this map? I can count the amount of players who I've seen run it here, and admittedly, all the ones that lock it in usually look pretty good.
Yeah, Strix is actually pretty decent on this map, especially when the enemy team doesn't have anything to push you out. He normally he falters into like the Atlas. When the Atlas shield is up, the Strix becomes kind of useless because you can push up quite far onto like the cubby side of the map. Yeah. You can push quite easily through there with Atlas and drop a shield, and that cuts off so much of the map for Strix that makes him useless. But obviously, if you see being Atlas being banned, Strix could be quite free in this, especially now that Hype have gone for Khan. Normally into the Strix, you might want something like the Ashe that has that really aggressive dash to get through the stage area into the windows of the enemy side to start dealing the damage to the Strix. I also want to bring up the fact that Makoa wasn't banned, but Willow was first pick.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure why you would go for the Willow over the Makoa, especially when the Atlas is taken off the map and you have a Makoa available. Like, console are still really decent with Makoa. Makoa is not one of those ones that needs much of like a difference for the aim aspect. As long as you can hit a direct hook, Makoa becomes so potent, and then his ulti as well is AoE shots as well. So he's one that I don't think matters so much from console to PC in terms of hardware use. I'm quite surprised they let that get through.
Well, I'm going to just go ahead and throw this one out there. Fatal Ambition. Makoa Strix already a good way to start it off. Although, Hype Unit, they play against Stigma all the time, who likes to run snipers on this map. So they might have something against that, at the very least, be prepared for. But they get Genos, they get Bomb King. This is a very good Ice Mines draft from Fatal Ambition. Like, no matter what they lock it in with, I mean, one more tank more than likely, but Ashe available, they throw that in. This is a really solid draft. It's all going to come down to mechanics from them.
I would like to have maybe seen an Inara come out for them, but now they just don't have the sustain for it. Inara is a phenomenal point tank on this map. Having sustain on this map is very important because it's normally on this map, once you've lost the first point fight, you've lost it. You know, it's very seldom that you see a nice retake on Ice Mines unless you have really strong ultis available. So they've lost the Barrack already. I think you're right. I think it will be the Ashe coming out. Ashe has the self-sustain with the lifesteal built into her deck, so that normally helps out with the Genos heals. But they have such an aggressive team comp. Terminus. This is interesting. I don't think Genos has the sustain for Terminus. Although he does have heals on his Calamity Blasts, it will come down to whether Hype is going to feed that Calamity Blast or not.
So it's bizarre to me, and this is actually what's really funny. Normally, in the way that our esports go, typically it's kind of tiered. PPL's at the top, PML's in the middle, Console League is usually in the bottom. And Terminus has been seen in the top. Knights have been picking him, I think, to the most success. Zarini just runs it like nobody else. And then in Console League, you would see Terminus come through. Minor League don't play it too often. I don't know how much experience Hype Unit are going to have against it. Very interesting pickup to close this one out. I'm excited to see it. We're going to jump down to the casters, see if they're just as excited or confused as I am.
Well, I mean, you're excited to see it. We're excited to see it. And also partly confused, but I do like the Terminus pick. I mean, we've seen it being used to counter out some of those blashes before. Yeah. We've seen it be brought out to stop that Jurgles on Ice Mines, but in this case, it's a Willow.
Yeah, I mean, it's Ice. So Terminus, not too surprising for me, honestly. Able to get very aggressive with that Bomb King, push a different lane. Don't really know who's even going to be contesting him. Honestly, probably the Cassia on low ground doing that fight, but otherwise that Willow's going to want to be in window. Both of Hype's CPSs want to be in window, so that turn might be kind of uncontested on the side more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we will have to see if that's how it's going to end up being played out. But here we are, baby. We're on Ice Mines. It's going to be the second set, first game of the set, and I'm excited to see, of course, what the teams will be bringing out on both sides. But it's a matter of nothing too different except for Crush. Do you think he's going to stick with that?
I hope not, but I think he will. Unfortunately, Crush is a console meta pick, but I think it's okay.
Okay, there we go.
He did swap. Undying Decimation, I think, bring a lot more value. Also, don't just get hard countered by Resilience very early in the game. They also do have Bomb King on their team and Genos, so Void Grip, all the CC that Bomb King brings will also have been dealt with. So instead, we have the Undying Terminus point tank. If he's in the battle, we'll have to see how he can do.
Well, the opening percentages are already in favor of Hype Unit. Even if it is only 12%, it is steadily growing, though. And of course, he actually used the Shatterfall to make sure he can stay on point, come right back in there, and he's going to keep getting healed, but he's dropping below half health. Edgem and Dethroner are keeping eyes on him and making sure that he is having a hard time to be able to try and step up on that point. But Edgem's looking pretty low. Already got dropped down to 1. We already see that somebody gets dropped down as well in response, but the game ended up being paused. They're trying to figure something out right there, but not quite sure what it is. But at the same time, I mean, the fight still is sort of going towards the percentage of Hype Unit. I mean, they do have about 20 or so percent, 27% that they have on the point. Really, they haven't been able to respond, and by them, I mean Fatal Ambition haven't really been able to stay on the point.
They've been contesting a little bit. I will say, and the term main in me is screaming a little bit here, but I personally don't like Strength of Stone. On Terminus, that's the card that Inishi's running. You get 4% damage at the max level. You get 4% damage reduction for every charge you have stored. So at max, you'll have 20% DR. Well, actually, sorry, it's 5% at the max level. So 20% DR on top of what you have. It does have diminishing returns with the Undying damage reduction, but the biggest downside to it is you don't want to shoot your blasts.
Right.
And that kind of limits Terminus in a lot of ways. Being able to finish off kills as a melee character from medium to long range is a huge deal. It's something that people kind of underestimate with him as a character, and it's a way you can catch people off guard. You know, you're crossing an angle, you're like, oh, there's just a term there.
Right.
And then you've taken 1250 damage. And like, that's literally more than a strict shot coming from a melee character.
Right.
So having that flexibility, I think, is really big, and he just won't be able to do that most of the time because of the build to get the most value out of it.
Do you think that most of that is purely based off of the fact that he might be trying to, he is dedicated to try and contest Barrack on the point? That's why he's trying to put that emphasis on that?
It is for sure, but he needs to get those charges. And now watch, now he can't fire them back. He has to just hold on to them, and now he's wasted that value, right? That card is now useless. That's, again, why I wanted to say it, but secondary pause here. I guess maybe they thought it was okay, but whatever it was not.
Yeah.
I don't think I could talk about Strength of Stone even longer. So, yeah, I think now we're seeing about that draft that I was talking about. The Terminus can kind of be uncontested. There's really not much of a way that Hype have to deal with him yet. maybe if they had been a little more patient, waited for that Siphon to run out, they would have had more of an opportunity, but he's kind of just a timer, right?
That's true.
Term is just a timer on the point. When it runs out, he has to back off, and Hype will get some free ground.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, too. I mean, in this case, though, I think that Dethroner and them are still doing pretty well because they're still holding on to the point. They're managing their cooldowns and have their, I mean, they have their abilities and such, too. I mean, Tay was the one that just went down before we actually went into that second pause. But still, I mean, they still have control over that point. They still have that area that they are controlling. But how do Fatal Ambition try and respond? I mean, you brought up the fact of, I mean, Strength of Stone about how you lose that value if you don't have those charges anymore. Then what does Terminus do? How does he approach the situation without completely, you know, like how does he optimize this?
He has to just not shoot, which stinks, but it sucks. He has to just not do it if you want to get the maximum value. He's doing fine now, controlling that objective, and having a Makoa on the other lane is pretty much the best you could want, right? Maybe an Atlas, but being able to hold this ground is good. Swarmsheet does go down, but it's just an off-tank trade, and Anishi's still kind of keeping them locked out, but Strix is open in the back.
Now that the percentages aren't even, we have a little bit of a shift in Fatal Ambition's side, but my goodness, the disengage bolt followed by the blast shot, big game damage, pair that all together, and you got yourselves a dead Strix. 27% to 33, just as I was saying before, but now that turns into a swift 30 and steadily rising as Hype Unit are now able to get the zone that they need. A good disengage bolt. They are just holding them right here. And with Tay up there, I mean, he's already watching the bridge as well. There's so many angles that Fatal Ambition have to try and fight back from, but we already have the scout. They end up getting used. Tay has to drop down, but they got rid of Jumanguk. They got rid of the Genos. Their healer is gone. Edgem is actually just running freely in the back line, but he's going to be able to be taken care of. But Payan is going to make sure that he opens up the door of opportunity and continues this hold by getting rid of not one, but two tanks.
The problem there was that Jumanguk just went into the tunnel under the windows to go for a Genosalt. He didn't need to do that. He could have just done it from anywhere. And he just got picked off by Edge. Edge saw where through time and space came from, went, he's alone.
Yeah.
Why is he there? And just walked in and picked him. Not having that pressure, that support, allowed Edge to just feed straight in, more or less. Not feed, because it was completely uncontested. Now Hype Unit, hashtag bring the hype, are holding this ground up top. Ghost is going to try to find some angles to do it, but I'm not sure if the Strix damage, even the Strix damage, is going to be enough to stop this.
Okay, the Dread Serpent actually gets used to make sure that they can actually put that pressure onto the Terminus, and now they're just running at him. They actually are still going to be able to take care of Edgem, though. Just one good shot from Ghost, or at least a couple of them, will be the one that's going to end up with Edgem dead. And this is going to be their chance to actually try and defend. But Hype Unit, hashtag bring the hype, are going to actually try and make sure that they can try and defend themselves, or at least find their footing and wait for Edgem to come back.
It's going to be so tough for Hype Unit, hashtag bring the hype, to break through this high ground with the Bomb King and the Makoa. But the Makoa drops down. Swarmsheet stuck on this low ground and gets over. I don't even know if that was necessary.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Either way, it's going to help them start this stagger, and Anishi, having to back up, does get the Shatterfall to get onto the high ground, but now they're going to have to give up all this ground on Fatal Ambition's side.
I mean, if it does work out for them, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You use the overpower, you get that kill. That's the footing it is that they actually need. And now you see that they already are in position how they need to be able to do, what they need to be able to do, and how they need to take advantage of the situation. Pan starting off well with a good shots on the Ghost. Follow that up onto Onishi for a double kill. Now you swap targets to the Bomb King. You're just staring down right at him. A triple for Pan, and now he swapped to Swarmsheet. Now he's got a quadra. It says double right there, but he's already gotten 4 back to back. And Hype Unit, hashtag bring the hype, are going to be able to continue to push this and make it a 2-0.
Having Ghost be the first one to go down there, I think, was the most important thing, right? Faithlight, no one else on that roster can really contest him at all once he's up there in that skybox as high as you can go. Faithlight not as good on the rest of the map. Skybox is kind of low, but the map slowly goes down, making that skybox higher and higher relatively. So Faithlight, much better ultimate as we get closer to the capture point. You can see the damage charts right now. Pain and Ghost topping it. Strix on top too. But not just the damage isn't enough overwhelming. You can see that huge discrepancy between Ghost and the rest of his team.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely can. Hype Unit still with their positive slash lines. Still doing really well. I mean, the itemization on Fatal Ambition, really record 2 and Resilience 2 are the only 2 things that they have online. Meanwhile, everyone's still at level 1, maybe getting their second item, but Hype Unit, definitely the economy has shifted towards their side, especially after a very clean 2-0. Everyone's going to open up by going to the same position as they were before. They throw out the seedlings and try and keep that zone. Bomb King is already at half health. It's Tay is just sitting there watching along with Pan, making sure they keep that pressure on, and a flashbang is actually going to end up ripping through and finding its mark, but it's still not enough.
I think Swarmsheet was a little bit too defensive. Tay got really low. Swarmsheet was only missing 1k HP, and he backed up. Tay picks off Onishi, but he just uses the reanimate. Does Tay know he's here? Maybe not, but the commander's grab is there, barely saved at the last moment.
Nice, they use the Ancient Rage as well to make sure they follow up on that through time and space, goes wide, but doesn't find its mark. Ralkion is going to be able to be taken care of. Edgem is on top of that, gets rid of him, gets rid of the Bomb King. Now they got rid of Terminus. It's forcing the rest of Fatal Ambition, the ones that were still alive, to back off, and you already see the Hype unit don't want to give them any quarter. Edgem with a double, and they're still pushing them all the way back. Jumangok, one of the only ones surviving throughout that entire mid-fight.
And another Fae Flight coming out from Payan too. Near the end, he's letting it recharge now, but the infinite ammo from that lets him spam so long. Edge very aggressive for Ice Mines in terms of zoning. Gets the dismount on Onishi, but it didn't even matter. Ice Mines is so long, didn't even need to zone at that point. Hype unit managed to convert. Now they're up 3-0.
Yeah, and with plenty of time, 2 minutes and 20 seconds exactly, and a 3-0 lead, they have plenty of opportunity to be able to decide how they want to continue to approach this. But of course, they've been keeping it pretty clean and concise. The Throner is going to be the first one to go down as the cart was pushing, so the rest of Hype unit have to pretty much back off and give them some time to think, just regroup, wait until the Throner actually comes back so they can find their push once again. But 2 ultimates up for Hype unit, no ultimates up for anyone on Fatal Ambition. The Dread Serpent, the Overpower, that's going to be really important to have.
They can use one pretty early here because they have plenty of time to charge it back up if this conversion doesn't work, and the Dread Serpent is going to be the first one to come out. It looks like Ghost is caught out.
Yeah, already a good shot from Edgem. Even better shots from Payan are going to be the one that ends up with him dead. Payan goes down, but the Thorner makes sure that he avenges his fallen teammate by taking care of Onishi. We already see that Swarm, she's already on the side. They take care of him, and now their onslaught continues to push forward. They already have plenty of time and plenty of ultimates to make sure they can keep this pressure that they're going on. And Hype unit, hashtag Bring the Hype, are on a tear right now. Absolutely almost unstoppable.
Can I actually see, this is more of a point for myself, but can I see T-Max Damba build really quick? I just want to mention it because I want to talk about his character growth. He used to run Snake Pit 4 all the time, and everyone was like, why? You're not running speed, you're not running DR, why? He's like, well, I just like it. Okay, this is character growth from T-Mac. He's not running reload speed.
The character arc.
He's
like
helping
it.
his team. This is the kind of team player we like to see.
I like it.
Still being able to keep his team up. 20% DR is so tough to break through. Damba fell off just because of the rest of the utility he brings being locked to CC, but his healing is still there, and aggression
my goodness.
from Hype unit is opening this up with a Fae Flight.
They were already so low as it was going on, and now Onishi ends up getting stunned by the snake bite. They make sure that they clean things up and clean up their first game already with a 1-0 over Fatal Ambition.
I don't think the draft from Fatal was that bad. I just think they had a misplay or two there, maybe not chasing a little bit, not chasing aggressively enough on that second mid-fight, letting Hype unit reheal, and then someone on Fatal was like, wait, we should probably be going in right now, guys, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, sure. By the time they go in, Damba's already rehealed the whole team. So they're just overextending. They used both ultimates, and that kind of started the snowball that led to the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, once again, that opening, even though it was a little bit ago, I mean, they still were able to cash it in 2-0 during that very first round. But that opening overpower at that point, I mean, even if we were like, did he even really need to use it? I mean, it worked out for him. And after that point, just like you were saying, it is a snowball. It just kept moving on forward. And it was hard for Fatal Ambition to find an opening or some sort of retaliation.
Yeah, I mean, Ice Mines, snowball.
Yeah, I mean,
there's snow everywhere, right?
True.
One of the easier maps to snowball on if you do use your ults aggressively enough. We talk about how it's hard to push, but I think that's just because you have to break through that initial gate. But once you do, the enemy team is stuck in their spawn doors. There's nowhere for them to hide.
Exactly. I mean, once again, guys, Hype unit 1-0 over Fatal Ambition. The game looks pretty deciding, but can Fatal Ambition try and clap back against Hype unit? We can only find out right after this break.
Hype Unit take that one pretty convincingly. A solid Ice Mines from them, even though the draft, I would say, was a little bit more in favor of Fatal Ambition. Doesn't matter. The play came out the way it did. They find themselves up 1-0 against their opposition in Bs. I honestly don't know where to start. Pan goes really big. Edgem goes really big. Dethroner and Tay don't seem to have any trouble. T-Mac is untouched. I mean, there's just so much that goes right for Hype Unit.
They were just so aggressive at the points they just needed to be. When they got to the choke points on each section of the map and they're pushing through, they just pedal to the metal, gas straight through, and they just constantly put the pressure on that just didn't allow them to even get any time to defend.
You can see Pan with the top damage that he was able to come through there. Evgem actually kind of trailing. Not typically where you see Cassie is 20, well, a little less than 20,000 behind. 8-2 for Edgem, 7-1 for Pan. Dethroner even tacking on some kills there. Not the best game for the Makoa. Not any kills for the Bomb King. Where was the disconnect for Fatal Ambition? Where did it start to fall apart?
It's so hard to tell, to be honest. As we said with the casters there was moments where they really should have been a little bit more aggressive. They had opportunities to push in to kind of really take Hype Unit a point on the second mid-fight. But rather than doing that, they allow them to readjust, to regather their forces, and then they just push in at the wrong moments. It's kind of almost as if they were staggered by the aggression of Hype Unit.
Yeah.
And when they finally built up the courage to run in and go after something, it was just that little bit too late.
Well, Pan, I mean, one of the bigger driving forces behind it, right? I think with the amount of aggression that was coming down, you get Pan. I think this is actually where he gets a double-double. He gets 2 there, take it a little bit, and then he gets 2 more right afterward. And the only reason he didn't get the 5th is because of that pesky spawn door. Keeps him out of there. But you kind of have him, I wouldn't say, heralding in the first half of the game. And then Edgem stepped up for the second half of the game, playing as a tandem duo. It was just so clean in terms of trade-off, in terms of aggression, in terms of, hey, I'll take, you take some pressure off me, I'll take some pressure off you. They just flowed so well together.
Yeah, it's how it should be, though, with teams, though. You know, you should really have that connect with your teammates to just be able to, this is my moment to go in. You come save me, then we flip out, we get a little bit of heal, and then I come in and save you. It's that kind of swipping and swapping, as you might want to call it, is really important for teams to perform at the highest of levels.
Well, they do it well there. It's not going to be Timber Mill, though, as the other map we had been talking about on the desk earlier. Instead, we're going to get one that's similar in nature, but not necessarily in layout. Splitstone Quarry. And difficult push, more or less. Pretty open area around the objective.
Yeah.
Difficult to be a point take on this map is the best way to describe it.
I think what this map lends itself to with console is being the high ground where you can fight from with a Victor or a Strix or something. It's very easy to tag a lot of damage down to the point. Also, as you just said, it's a very difficult map to push on, which maybe if they lose a couple of the point fights, they're still going to have that time to regain some momentum and come back into the fight and maybe win it in the later rounds. However, Ice Mines is just as difficult to push.
True.
And we've just seen how easily Hype were able to push through with that momentum and just kind of tear them apart further at each and every choke point, use aggression to just break them down. And I kind of feel like it's just going to happen again, to be honest, especially with the start of this draft now, with these 2 very aggressive tanks coming out.
Now, I feel like I have to say it because I'm a broken record, and therefore I have to repeat myself. I've seen Makoa Atlas lose more on the same team than I've seen them win on the same team.
Yeah.
But it's one of those stats that can only hold true for so long and in certain scenarios. Is the Strix worth letting both of them fall on the side of Hype Unit?
The Strix is really good, but as I just said, it's when you can hold the high ground that it's really good. When you have 2 tanks and their main objective as a tank is to be flanky, that kind of makes the Strix falter. You can push Makoa through Lava side, he can hook you down from the top, or you can push Atlas through Spinner side, and he can just go under and up and around on top of you. I don't know whether it's worth letting those 2 through, but as you've said, statistically, those 2 together have not been fantastic. But is that because teams typically don't have a player for each of the characters? Or is it because the 2 characters don't work well together? That's what is the kind of interesting thing for me. How often do you get those 2 characters?
Yeah.
Pretty much never. So you'd never have your secondary person ready to play either the Atlas or the Makoa. I think that's maybe where the issue could come from for a lot of teams, is not having the roster ready for the characters.
I think one of the biggest issues with it usually is the concept of, well, we don't necessarily have a quote-unquote point tank. Atlas usually played off-tank. Makoa usually played off-tank. Neither one really bad at standing on the point, but they're not really good at standing on the point when opposed to an Anara or a Barrack. Hype Unit looked to circumvent that by saying, okay, we'll just take 3 of them here, grab ourselves a DPS, I was going to go off a different edge. They went towards the triple tank. I was going to say, hey, you know what's a flank that I like on Splitstone Quarry that I think Edgem plays pretty well? Androxus. No one's playing him, so I don't know why he would come to my mind, but I'd love to see him. But it looks like, if I'm taking a guess, Edgem, or maybe Payan, are going to be here on this Cassie. They're going triple frontline.
Yeah, I like the Cassie pickup with the triple frontline as well. As we've seen earlier today, Sky is a phenomenal pick for to take away from the triple frontline. Not quite enough, but Cassie with big game is just phenomenal at destroying tanks, especially into the Makara, as we spoke about earlier, when he has that increased HP pool.
Yeah.
Big game is another one of these percentage-based attacks. Once you get the disengage, each shot afterwards is just going to apply percentage-based damage based on your HP, and she shreds tanks in just a way that many other characters just cannot.
And it is also in the perfect position. You know, we saw Sky come out at the end of the last set. Not necessarily a good Sky map for Splitstone Quarry, not bad for her either, but not a lot of vertical mobility to get her up onto the ramps. She has to go the wrong way. But, I mean, they had Strix Maeve Khan. You're just like, yeah, what are you going to do? Support in Sky? Like, you're going to make Khan main tank against a triple frontline? It's not going to work out well. So I think being able to call the bluff on any counters for it, seal it up with a Maldamba. Whose draft do you like more?
At the moment, I like Hypes a little bit more. The aggression that these tanks are going to bring out with the stability of the barrack on the point is going to be so good for them, and I don't really see what Fate will have to shut down the tanks.
It's so weird to see Strix, like, I mean, just a really solid lineup there for Fatal Ambition, but it's hard to argue against Makoa Atlas when you get those two on the same side.
I've just realized they could go Street Justice Maeve.
Executes?
They could go execute on percentage based on Maeve as well. We haven't seen it for a very long time, but that is a possibility.
I mean, you get that maybe working in tandem with the Strix. You don't get the bonus damage to help get them down, but hey, I'm going to sit over here for a couple daggers. He's going to hit you with some shots. Then we go in.
Yeah, that could be the play. Could be the play.
Well, we'll have to see whether or not they have the same mind that Bees has going on. You can see he's a coach. We'll go down to Fawn and Kresnik on the call.
Thank you guys so much for the desk. And he mentioned Street Justice. Kresnik, you mentioned Street Justice.
I did.
We both were talking about Street Justice because we've seen it brought out before, specifically against triple frontline. The execution is being played such a huge role, especially when you just get like Thanos snap like out of existence.
Yeah, having that plus having the con overpower, I think would help them equalize a decent amount.
Yeah.
It would definitely be pretty huge. Plus, Strix does so much damage so fast that you can get someone low enough to get into that execution range really quickly and kind of faster than they'd expect for sure. I think it would be an interesting pick, but we might see Ralkion play a little bit more defensive. Maybe he doesn't want to play risky in front of that Makoa. Getting hooked while you're trying to go in for those execution pounces could just be immediate death. They have a lot of damage across those tanks. I'm assuming Ralkion's going to be sticking to Cat Burglar, but actually all of Fatal Ambition is just deathballing here. All five moving together. Maybe not Anishi now, but they're all wrapping around to the enemy side. Well,
Hype Unit is responding in kind with the same sort of strategy by also pretty much they're just swapping spawns at this point. And they're the ones actually going around. Good hook from the thrower actually open things up on a Jumangok. Their healer gets dropped, and he's in the middle of everyone. He actually just going to get taken out first. First blood for Hype Unit, but Swarmshi not going to go down without a fight by taking out 2 of the members of Hype Unit, but they're still on top of him. They're still putting on this pressure, but look at the percentage disparity. 54% to 15, but with how many kills that Hype Unit have just gotten now, they can sit on the point and gain as much as they want to with the zone.
Why did Jumangok not vine away?
I don't know, man.
He just fought on the low ground. Old school melee Grover coming out. 48% now for Hype Unit, now tying the objective capture, but everyone is back alive on Fatal Ambition. Anishi, though, marked with big game going super early in front of the Temporal Divide. Does get healed, but he used his cooldowns to do basically nothing, and he goes down. Yeah, I mean, that Nara's going to get taken care of almost instantly as soon as she makes her way back to point, and Hype Unit have yet to actually stop capping at all with 96% on the point already to a 99 in overtime touch thanks to the con, but it won't last very much longer, especially after the hook. They're already pretty much swapping targets. The Swarmshi, a disengaged ball he's going to be able to touch, but still, he's not going to be able to make it back. No one else can really commit except for the Anar that actually ends up coming right back around, standing directly on the point, still trying to eat as much damage. They're trying to stall, gain a little bit of percentage here and there, but still, no one on Fatal Ambition can fully on commit to that. So they're still going to be able to lose the point with Hype Unit getting their very first point. They're learning the terror that is big game Cassie currently. Edge taking down Ralkion. Great aggression from Hype Unit coming up front. Swarmshi a little bit stuck behind, but now he's marked with big game. Not sure how much Wrecker that Edge has, but it doesn't matter. Swarmshi doesn't even put up his shield once. Gets melted by the percentage health damage mark. And now Hypebeam with all 3 tanks are going to be shoving forward, not giving Fatal Ambition any chance to contest the payload.
Yeah, they're already putting on the pressure, so much damage as well. Coming out from Edge, and Big Game is playing such a big role in these fights, man. I mean, the seismic crash goes out, but it doesn't hit anybody. I mean, you have the second chance that uses the rewind. A good overpower on the Pain, though, to not only try and find an opening, but to make sure that now Fatal Ambition can try and fight back. The overpower is the opening, but they're still going to be able to push forward. Ralkion is looking for more and more daggers. He's finding them, but they're not finding any kills except for the one that they found on Pain.
Tay makes it away in the very edge. I don't know if they know he's there. Now they do, because Tay did peek, but a Dread Serpent knocks down Swarmshy onto the low ground. Tay, though, holding the Exile on the right, which means his damage is not going to be in this fight. He's just looking for CC. So everybody gets away, but that Dread Serpent does buy Hype Unit a lot of ground. Temporal Divide in the way allows them even more space, but they need to find something soon to make it worth it.
They lost Pan, but did not give any inch in their formation. Now, they Dome Shield directly on the Ghost. They get the hook, and he uses the Ancient Rage to follow up. Pan gets taken care of, but you have the Ancient Rage to follow up on that. They take care and trade 1-for-1 on both sides. Ralkion's going to go down next, and now Onishi, the one on the point, puts up the wall so you can contest through it, but still gets hooked. The DR, as well as the CC immunity, is already done. The rewind already back onto Swarm. She sends him all the way back, puts the divider out, so now they can just run at Grover. He Vine Grips, but still drops right down. Tay uses the rewind, the second chance, to make sure he doesn't also go down, but still, the payload has not stopped pushing. Ralkion's back on it, but at what cost? Seems to be the cost of the round.
Also, a little bit more ult charge given away to Hype Unit by contesting there. I gotta say, that was probably the most I don't play Barrack play I've ever seen from Pan. He kind of just ran it down, dome shielded in front of everybody. Very bold from him. Didn't turn around, didn't even need to. He's like, I'm Barrack. I have trouble killing Barracks.
Yeah.
And then immediately melted down. This was Swarmshy not shielding. I guess he thought he just had that win, but big game. Just a little bit more damage than I think he's used to. Great damage coming out from Edge and Ghost on the other side as well. Pretty big disparity between Strix and Atlas, but still Atlas and Barrack doing a fantastic job. I think Anishi needs to play a lot more careful. And Ralkion, both of them. Anishi, I feel like, isn't really doing a lot with his point contesting. I feel like he's kind of exclusively buying time almost, and that's good, but you want your Inara to be doing more than that for sure. And Ralkion, definitely. I think going Cap Richter was a mistake over the Street Justice, but he can still make it work if he just plays that poke. But you got to connect those long-range daggers to make it worth it. You don't need to be that close, Ralkion.
Good hook already from Dethroner to find the opening kill on the Ralkion. You're right. He probably shouldn't have been that close to him, push up too far. No one else to really converge on that as well. No ultimates up for Hype Unit, but they're still in the works. They've got the Scout and the Dread Serpent coming up real soon, but 3 ultimates in response with Fatal Ambition. They have a lot of ultimates they can use to set up for kills. Swarmshi's all the way in the back. He might be looking for an overpower or something. I mean, he's just back there, there it is, the overpower, but the divider already goes out, and it's not going to be able to hit.
Even if he got it, I guess he still would have killed Tay in the lava, and he's trying to get the Seismic Crash off, but it doesn't connect on anybody. He doesn't drop his wall in time. So he hits his own wall. Ralkion hooked and picked again by Dethroner. He absolutely has this Maeve's number, and Swarmshi's going to buy a little bit of time on the point, but dying off of it means it's going to be 45 and climbing while they're getting staggered out by this aggressive Makoa.
He's still going to go down 57% for a Hype Unit already, and now you have a zone. The divider goes out, the slow motion axe, not going to be able to hit anyone at all. 78% and still climbing. Fatal Ambition have yet to be able to actually break the ranks right now, especially when you have Dethroner opening things up with an Ancient Rage, and he's just on 2 people already. He already hit Grover. Ghost is down, so is Swarmshi. Ralkion, Jumangog, now you're staring at the Anar, the last one left, and she's going to go down.
Hey, at least she had her cooldowns this time.
Yeah.
I'll give that a boost.
Right.
A boost there. Was able to buy a little bit more time on the objective. Unfortunately, the last one left alive. 1 and 8 for Ralkion. Really just, it really is Dethroner just having every answer. I don't think they're used to Makoa hitting all these hooks, but we'll see how aggressive they can be. A good jump hook. Dethroner's going to pick Ghost as well. So much damage from those 2 tanks. Pan runs away, but they still have total control with this big game that's got marked into the Inara as well. The
divider once again goes out, and here we are back in the situation that we saw Fatal Ambition in last go around. The disengaged bolt already marked on Khan, and now he's going to be able to be on the side, put in a lot of damage and a lot of pressure, but he may be walking out a little bit too much. The overpower actually did. Oh no, and Edge still Edge still won that fight despite that. He was actually pushed out so far with 133 HP as well. He still won that one-on-one engagement, or at least more than that, and now he's able to find another kill. Divider goes out, the Throner has a shield up, and now he finds a double. They're being able to push in. Fatal Ambition literally locked into their spawn, cannot do anything. The only thing they have in response is an overpower and maybe a touch from Ralkion, but you get the hook, you get the shield potentially broke as well. Swarmshi's gonna go down, Anar's being taken care of, and my goodness, dude. unable to touch or contest at all.
Just a non-stop force Hype Unit was that game. Nothing that Fatal Ambition picked could do anything to them. And the overpower at the end was probably the best answer they had, right? They'd get rid of the healer. All right, now all our damage is going to stick, right? There's no way they can really get re-healed outside of going out of combat. But then they all just had to go contest the cart.
Right.
They all just died moving into it. So it didn't really end up mattering in the end. Yeah, they're not getting healed, but you're taking damage way faster than your Grover is ever going to be able to fix that.
Exactly. I mean, on top of that, once again, it's literally just the fact that Hype Unit, not only did they keep that advantage that they had, but they kept steamrolling it. I mean, even, like, it's why I mentioned it before, towards the end, even though they died, they literally didn't afford to give up any space whatsoever, and that's why they took Game 2 right after this break, though. We'll be right into Game 3.
Well, they make it 2-0 here as Hype Unit take that one, the quadra frontline, triple frontline. I don't know why I had it in my mind that there were 4 of them for some reason. Hey, they make it work. So, Bees, they come through.
They come
and
through.
They look pretty good. Makoa, Atlas, they're winning together. Who would have guessed?
Who would have thought the 2 strongest tanks in the game could win a game? Who would have known?
Couldn't be me.
I would have never guessed.
But it was just, I mean, solid from them when it comes down to it. Hype Unit are looking pretty solid today. Exactly the kind of bounce back you need if you take a rough loss early on. Looking to try and keep themselves technically even throughout this week. Edgem standing out the most with his player damage, just slightly behind Ghost on the other side, about 3,000. The difference is the slash line, though. 3,000 damage in favor of Ghost, 11 kills in favor of Edgem.
Yeah, definitely a hard slash line to be looking at if you're Fatal Ambition going into the last game here. We just seen as well the Maeve. As soon as the Maeve was even coming in, she was just getting insta-hooked, insta-burst out by the Cassie. Really tough to come in and to play these characters that, like, if you're playing Maeve in PPL, you have to play that to almost near perfection levels, you know, the Mewtwo levels, the Simsalo levels. I think it just does go to show the kind of the difference between the levels of these players.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, Ralkion, unfortunate for him, that is, I think, his first kill this set. So that's not exactly where you want to be. 5 deaths total on the side of Hype Unit. Tay goes undying. Edgem goes undying. And, well, when they all do well, you got to figure out who to choose. And I guess it's the flashiest plays at the end of the day. This Cassie fit right into where they needed it. Edgem kind of showcasing it. I love this dynamic because last year I remember Edgem coming in, and there was like a huge tweet. He wanted, like, he had a huge ego coming into the year, into the qualifiers. And then I can't remember, but I know their team did not qualify for the World Championship. This time, coming in a lot more humble, and it's kind of showing in his play. Like, he's playing really well, but he's not taking it to heart. He's like, okay, you know what? That game was okay. Let's go to the next one, see if I can keep it up.
yeah, he definitely played phenomenal this round with Cassie as well. A lot of disengaged kills into straight domination. But that's what you kind of need with the Cassie as well. When you're playing with these triple tank compositions, you need your DPS to show up as well, because the point of the triple tank is that you are almost unkillable, but that also in a sense makes it harder to kill the enemies as well. You need this high level, high octane DPS carry to make sure that the triple tank compositions actually work as well. I think he's done a phenomenal job of doing it.
He's been able to make the transition. He's been playing it really well, been solid for the team. Now they're going to what could be the third and final map here. 2 4-0 straight up against Fatal Ambition. So Hype Unit, second pick this time around once again. Gonna see if they can take it here on Stone Keep. What bans, I guess, do you change? Do you change anything if you're Fatal Ambition?
I would go to get rid of the main tanks as they've done now. It's really weird seeing this because it's normally never first pick that has to get rid. Yeah, second pick is normally forced to get rid of these tanks because you don't want them in the game. But I think Fatal now realise that they can't play it to the level it's needed to be played at. So they either have to get rid of it or Hype is going to leave it open and take it for themselves and just constantly dominate here. I really do like to see the Eevee pick come out here though as well. I've said this already, I'm really interested to see how the gyro plays out with these flank characters. Unfortunately last round with the Mave it didn't work out. So now seeing an Eevee into the Strix is going to be quite fun because that's a hard matchup for both of them. If the Eevee player is better, the Strix is in trouble. But if the Strix player is better, then the Eevee is really in trouble.
It'll be fun to see. Interesting enough, Willow not picked up as of yet. Zash and Jinox get locked in there for Fatal Ambition. And I can tell you, I think I can count the number of sets where Eevee has been a first pick at any point in the game on one hand. I mean, I think Kanga SSG, because Evil Eye Freeze God really like Eevee. Maybe you throw it out there with a couple others where that's a big matchup, maybe SSG Envy. Most of the time it's SSG and somebody because Freeze God loves his Eevee and is really good at it. So this time coming in first kind of shows your hand pretty early on. This is what we're doing. This is what we're playing. They lock in the eye on the barrack.
The trouble is you tend to just give so much away.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you've taken something like Eevee first pick, there's still amazing tanks left on the board. There's still amazing damage left on the board. Like, if you get a Khan's Strix, that's such a power play in comparison to just an Eevee. And I guess they didn't learn anything from yesterday because Talus did not do fantastic yesterday. And I would argue that Bright Marsh is a far better map for Talus than Stonekeep as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those more interesting do or die moments is the only way I can think to describe it. I mean, this is the map where if Fatal lose it, they are knocked out. Hype Unit move forward to face, well, Hype Unit later today. But triple DPS, they get the Genos, they have the Ashe. If you're going to try something fresh, this is the time to do it because everything that's been going for you hasn't been working so far. Do you like the attempt or do you think this is going to fall apart?
I respect it, but to the Talus pick, I'm not a fan. I have to just say it. I don't like Talus. I don't think he's a very good character. He's not very strong. He might be on console meta, but I keep reiterating this. You have to play PC meta versus PC players.
Well, we'll have to see whether or not they can make the Talus work. We'll go down to the casters, see their thoughts on this triple DPS.
Well, I'm sort of a fan of it. I mean, personally, for me, I mean, if you take out the Talus, I feel like you could put, another character there instead.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, triple DPS isn't bad on this map.
True.
It's just the Talus is bad, so we'll have to see how it does end up panning out. The aggression from him could be something that Hype Unit might struggle to deal with, but just the way that I don't think that's the right Hype Unit. I still love that intro, though. I'm really happy we got to use that one.
That's still great.
That was sweet. Yeah. I'm just honestly happy to see it, but I think Hype Unit, they've all been playing this game for so long. They've all played against Talus when he was meta in the past, and this is a shell of his former self for sure. So we'll see if they can withstand that aggression. If anything, I'm a little worried about the Eevee, that verticality on this map that has those high grounds you can take. We'll have to see. Honestly, Hype can just play aggressive, shove that Talus, push onto his teleporter, and just let Luna capture the point. Yeah,
we will have to see how it's going to work out for him, of course. And I mean, already, Hype Unit are pushing up. Ashe eating a lot of damage, so it's Ghost. And he actually has to use that rune, make sure he heals himself right back up and try to stay alive as much as possible. Luna was on the point, so she was the one capping, which is why Hype Unit have 27% already from Ghost, eating a lot of damage. They're just staring him down, and they're going to be able to take care of Raukion. Edge him on the Strix. The Throner is going to get the last hit onto Ghost. You already got rid of 2 of them, and 30% on the point from Hype Unit, and no touch yet from Fatal Ambition.
Yeah, and they're going to get very aggressive. The 5-man zone, one of the biggest upsides of having Io on your team. We'll see how effective that can be for them. Don't have to worry about Luna at all. Raukion should get dismounted here, and he's actually the most important person to touch, but Dethorner doesn't chase it down. Doesn't add any damage up. Ghost coming in up top. Actually caught Payan out. I don't think Payan was ready for that aggression up top, but the overcharge is gone. I don't even know if the rune is down. It isn't because I'm jumping. Got rid. Oh, no, it was. Okay, so you actually can't recall when you're jumping. That's interesting to know. But straight into the sightlines of his Strix, and Ghost is pinned down up top.
Yeah, I mean, already, Hype Unit still pushing with a scout online for him and Fatal Ambitions. Ghost is just trying to find not only his opening, but find a way to try and start something for his team. I mean, you got triple DPS, you have the means of damage. It's not a lack of that, but it's a matter of how you will continue to play as the set goes on. And with Raukion going down first, it's definitely a big big problem for Fatal Ambition, especially since their healer went down next. The thrower, well, really, Tay is the one that actually eats that enlightenment, but still, he didn't get killed by it, but he is going to die to a regular couple shots from Swarm. She goes, opens the kill with Edgem as well, so now Fatal Ambition can fight back.
The problem with this Talus right now is that they don't have a tank up top. They're stacking their tanks on lower, so the Talus, of course, he's going to just walk into Strix. Of course he's going to kill him with Overcharge, right? The whole point about Talus is that he gets shut down so hard by tanks that's why he's kind of ineffectual. Yeah, he's shredding Tay right now, but Overcharge is gone, Portal's down,
man.
and now he's just going to immediately die. CC annihilates him. Payan now have a pretty free angle. Now they have a tank up top. I don't know what else he's going to be able to do. Worker used just to slow him down a little bit, might set up the combo, but Tay had his battle shout back up.
I mean, Tay tried to use the overpower to try and get another kill for his team. The Begone goes out as well. Talus ultimate. He's actually going to try and stay on top of Tay. T-Mac and Luna both, once again, pushing the payload, making sure it goes in. Ghost used the talent, the Runa travel, but it's still nothing. You got rid of 4 of them. You got rid of a potential 5th, and even if you don't, you've got the round 2-0 for a hype unit with still a Scout and a Dome Shield available.
Definitely bringing the hype on that push for sure. And now they have a couple ultimates they can spend if they want to. Scout will definitely be used first. Dome Shield, obviously going to be used under pressure more than anything right now. We'll look at T-Mac here. Flexing onto Io. I'm happy with how much more flexible he's gotten, because in the same days that he was running that Snake Pit, I just like stunning people build, he was also kind of a Damba one trick and really only playing Damba. But since then, this season, this year in general, we've seen him pick up and play well on every single support, more or less. I mean, we've seen Ying, now we're seeing Io, we've seen Genos. Things that he definitely struggled with in the past, so great on T-Mac to have this growth as a player and kind of figure out how these other supports function and how he wants to play them in general.
Right, already 2-0 once again for Hype Unit, and now the fight has begun once again. The first few shots ring out along with the assert dominance, rolls out of the way. Edgem actually is going to be able to pick off Ghost, finish off that Talus, and now the rest of Fatal Ambition are going to try and win the keep battle. They get rid of Tay, which is great, but Edgem once again in the back line, Payan picks off Ralkion, followed by Onishi, 51%. Luna's just sitting on the point, capping as much as she wants to, and you pretty much got yourselves a team wipe almost at this point. I mean, 78% for Hype Unit, hashtag bring the hype, and they still almost captured.
Ghost coming on the left. He's the only person that can touch, but no true power means he can't really sneak it in anywhere, and they just stop him. No Ursum ability from Talus, really. That blitz upper doesn't really get you where you need to go. So he gets zoned out. Ralkion maybe could have touched, but just took too much damage too early. Now he's just holding this fire area, but down 0-3. Looking too good in the rest of the set. They need to flip something around very quickly.
Yes.
Maybe Ghost can find this onto Tay, but it looks like he already has to back off.
Yeah, I mean, already Jumongok's the next one they're actually trying to go for. Ralkion blinks in, gets the shot, but it's still not enough. Enlightenment comes through as well. Not going to be enough either. They take care of the support. They take care of one of their 3 DPSs, and now they are still going to continue this push. They got rid of Ralkion as well. I mean, they are not stopping with their aggression. Hype Unit have not lost the momentum since game 1.
And they're basically uncontested holding forward here. Throner shielding in spawn, nothing they can really do. He still has Dome Shield, so he could just drop it right here and make it himself impossible to push. The Flame Turret would shred all 3 of the DPSs.
Oh, man.
Tank left on the side. The tank gets overpowered, so there's no way they could even contest it all. They have to throw their lives away, and none of them were even willing to. Hype Unit, anticlimactically, just walk the payload in.
Nothing to show for in terms of contesting the payload. I mean, Fatal Ambition losing 3-0 against Hype Unit. They had such a dominating performance as the set kept going on. That's why I mentioned it. They haven't lost momentum since game 1 of this set, and it shows.
And what Bees was saying before about not being able to bring the console meta into a PC meta LAN, I think we can see why. The reason Talus is so banned on console is because of you can't really react to him right that fast. He burns you very quickly, but he's so squishy that if you react first, he goes down. It's harder to react immediately on a controller. Not so much on a mouse and keyboard. You can muscle memory that flick straight to his head as soon as he peeks. So you can tell by that. The Talus did get a couple kills controlling that upper area, but as soon as we put a tank in the way and the DPS has got that split second to have a chance to react, it really couldn't do much of anything.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Hype Unit showing that they still have some fight left in them after their loss yesterday against Kanga Esports, and making sure they show that in kind against Fatal Ambition. I'm excited to see how they're going to be able to continue this push, or at least this sort of rise to power, this continued momentum throughout the rest of the losers bracket. We're going to throw it right back to the desk to get their thoughts on the match.
No matter what is going to happen today, at some point a Hype Unit team is going to go home. They move forward after another really convincing win here on Stone Keep. They'll face their counterpart, their namesake, later in the day. But I mean, that one was just clean. I don't think there's any other way to describe it. Ralkion did get another kill during that one, but
good man,
that's
good man.
pretty much where
that's
the extent went.
Yeah, the EV, it did look difficult on the gyro. Every time we flicked him, I did try and pay attention to it. But yeah, it did look hard for him there, especially versus some of the Cassie shots that would be coming out from Edgem there.
Well, you can see how it's coming through. 43,000 damage, paying top once again. T-Mac able to almost 20k healing above the support there for Fatal Ambition. Unfortunately for them, that's pretty much where things fell off. 1 and 3, 2 and 6. Everybody else 4 deaths in the column. Ralkion tags on a kill. And what is that? 4. They've gone down in deaths this time around. Hype Unit is 1 notch better, I guess, than they were the game before. And you can qualify it. It's a good improvement.
Yeah, difficult set for them as well. I said bringing the things like the Talus in as well, even though the Talus is the highest kills on their team. A lot of time when I was watching the Talus, when he did manage to get the kills, you know, then he's just got to wait around for them 7 seconds for his rune of travel to come back up online. And it's just too much time not being a viable character to have the impact that it needs in a game like this.
They had to deal with so much. I believe it was 2 6-1 slash lines for the DPS, Payan and Edgem. But T-Mac, I mean, again, 20,000 damage, give or take a little bit, above everyone else. A Begon right there at the door just to make sure you can't come out. Keeps Luna in a good place, keeps his team healed up, gets the shots in between. Pretty much everything you would want from your IO coming through right there. So looking good for them, looking good for Hype Unit. Nice 3-0 to bounce back after yesterday's 0-3 against Kanga. This is a good point for them to stabilize.
Yeah, certainly. And now they have to go up against their console counterparts. Yeah. At least they got some console practice in, though, I guess.
And it's one of those things. It's a fun meme because it's Hype Unit versus Hype Unit. Ha 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 ha. But it's actually fun because they scrim each other a lot. They've been talking about it pretty much all this LAN, how they are a team to look at because of the fact that they know each other well. And while Hype Unit console could be a threat because they've been playing against this minor league team so often. So it's going to be an interesting set. Most of the time you see scrim partners, that's where weird things come out. That's where the sets go a little longer because of it. Like, it could be a lot more interesting other than just, haha, look at the names.
Yeah, as you said, because you're a scrim partner, you know when they start drafting in a certain manner what they're going to take, so you know what's safer to take for your side.
Yeah.
When you have like cards held to your chest of what you're drafting towards, everyone has to play a little bit safer. When you take that out of the rotation, like, you can play some things that are a little bit weirder and get away with it. So it should be a really interesting game.
Fun.
It should be really fun.
It'll be well, fun. That's the only word I'm going to use for it because that's what it will be. Either way, it's been a complicated day, I want to say. It's Elimination Tuesday right now. So 2 teams already gone. Fatal Ambition, Cyclone, they have been knocked out of the bracket. Next up is going to be All Business and Flashpoint. Someone's going home. After that, Hype Unit, someone's going to go home. Then Wednesday, it's going to be even more interesting. Today, everyone goes home. Winner moves on. Tomorrow, winner qualifies. So if you're looking at this right now, this is what we're going to be seeing the rest of the day. And that loser of 11, loser of 12. Those matchups, that loser round 3, will be very important for moving forward because whoever wins those will be moving on to the quarterfinals. Thursday will be mainly for seeding, so it's going to be interesting. These next 2 are very important for these teams to stay alive, but right now, Hype Unit head above waters. They're feeling fine. Let's go ahead and jump down and make sure that they are truly looking forward to the rest of the day.
Dan, where you
coming
from?
Hey guys, what's up and welcome. Welcome and congratulations to your win. And of course, I have to ask, I mean, how are you guys feeling? I mean, yesterday you did end up going down. Now you're in the losers bracket against Kanga, but you guys 3-0'd Fatal Ambition just now. How do you guys feel proceeding on in the losers bracket?
I think it'll be like not necessarily easy, but I don't see us like facing much opposition. Hype PCL, like we scrim them a lot, so we kind of know what they're gonna do, but I'm anticipating that they hide strats and scrims because like we literally know what they're gonna do when they're gonna do it. Because I know for sure we have, so I just hope they're ready and it'll be a good set.
How much did scrimming against Hype Unit PCL help you guys against the console team Fatal Ambition?
Nothing really, not much to be honest. Those bans that we did against Fatal, we never pulled against Hype PCL and scrims because we were better off trying to find out what to test what Hype PCL is and what they're going to be at LAN. So like we never really planned I mean, we had some serious scrims against them at times, but most of the times it was just testing. So we knew what we were going to ban against console from probably week 1 of PML.
After the game yesterday, what do you guys say is the best way to recover after a game that you lose that you feel like you maybe had a chance to take?
I think we all obviously had like differing personal opinions on like, you know, some people might be happier with their own performances than others, but I think we all came to the consensus that like yesterday we just didn't really play well together as a team. Yes, like there was pop-off moments from individuals, but overall team play just wasn't there. So now that we're in the losers bracket, we have a chance to like face teams that are undoubtedly like weaker, so that we can work on our team play and then also have those mechanics for when we go up at, you know, against the stronger teams.
Now that you guys have taken this win, is there any chain pizza restaurant that you have any codes you want to use to celebrate with?
Go ahead and use Hype Unit 25 at all your local Papa John's stores. I recommend the cinnamon pull-aparts. They're amazing, man. Honestly, I get them more than pizza, but it's pretty good.
You have a chance to get 25% off. And this is something specific for you guys, but do you guys think that having the personalities that you have, having the confidence that you kind of have on Twitter and all over the internet and stuff, do you think it actually helps you against these other teams? Do you think they're like, I want to beat the hell out of Edge into Throner, and then they kind of throws them off?
I mean, it probably excites them, but they can't do it, so it doesn't matter. I mean, I took an off day against Os Rhino yesterday, man. I said, man, you beat me every single land. I'm gonna let you have this one. But no, I'm just kidding. I mean, these teams are great. Yeah, we troll them. Yeah, we have fun with them, but like, they're here for a reason. So. We play serious no matter who we play against.
All right, awesome. Thanks, guys, very much. Congrats on the win against Fatal. Good luck in your matchup later against the other Hype unit. Stay tuned after the break, everybody. After that, we'll have All Business versus Flashpoint.
Thank you.